There's something powerful about quiet moments, those silent spaces between action and reaction, between desire and outcome. In a world ruled by deadlines and endless motion, the idea of creating without doing feels almost rebellious. Yet, that's exactly what we're here to explore. The possibility that manifestation isn't a result of relentless striving, but of an inner shift so subtle, most overlook it. Neville Goddard, a mystic of uncommon insight, once spoke of a method unlike any other, a concept that challenges logic but unlocks hidden potential. He called it the art of doing nothing. It doesn't mean giving up or sitting idle. It's about realigning with a deeper intelligence, one that doesn't operate through pressure, but through presence. This isn't a theory. It's a practice rooted in awareness and emotional conviction. Pair that with the ancient Hermetic teachings, 7 laws that reveal the blueprint behind everything we perceive, and you have a formula that doesn't just teach how to wish, but how to command reality through vibration, thought, and belief. These principles aren't just spiritual fluff. They form a system that connects mental states to physical outcomes with uncanny precision. In this video, we'll decode the synergy between Neville's quiet confidence and the timeless wisdom passed down from Hermes Trismegistus. You'll see how stillness becomes strength, and how internal clarity shapes external experiences. The goal isn't just to inspire, but to equip you with understanding, the kind that turns knowledge into transformation. Forget the noise, let go of the constant push. The answers you seek have always been waiting in the space you've ignored. This is not just about learning, it's about remembering who you really are and realizing that life bends not to effort but to certainty. Ready or not, you're about to experience a new definition of creation. Long before modern science or psychology, there existed a body of knowledge that sought to explain how everything works. Not just the physical, but the unseen. This wisdom, attributed to the legendary figure Hermes Trismegistus, outlines 7 fundamental truths. Each one acts as a lens through which reality becomes not only understandable, but moldable. The first, mentalism, declares that all begins in the mind, not the brain, but the invisible faculty that imagines, perceives, and shapes. Every experience starts as an internal event, a thought, a vision, a feeling. From there, Correspondence teaches that patterns repeat across dimensions. What exists above reflects below and vice versa. Recognizing these patterns gives us control where we once felt powerless. Then comes vibration, the reminder that nothing rests. All things, from thoughts to objects, carry frequency. Adjusting your emotional tone can literally tune your experience. Alongside it, Polarity introduces the concept of duality. Everything has its opposite, not to oppose but to complete. Joy and sorrow, light and shadow, all are gradients of the same essence. Rhythm reveals the pendulum swing behind events, moods, and seasons. Learning its flow helps us ride waves rather than resist them. Cause and effect dismantles the illusion of randomness. Each result traces back to a choice, conscious or not. Finally, gender speaks not of biology, but of creative forces. Masculine and feminine energies exist within all things, shaping how potential becomes actual. These laws aren't abstract philosophy. They're tools, invisible gears turning behind every manifestation. When combined with intention, they become a blueprint, not to control everything, but to understand how energy transforms into experience. What Neville taught through imagination, the Hermetic laws explain through structure. Knowing these principles is more than intellectual curiosity, it's empowerment. Understanding how reality responds to internal alignment gives you the key to shift circumstances without force. You stop reacting to life and start designing it. That's the foundation. From here, everything changes. Neville didn't speak in theories. He spoke in truths that demanded you test them. One of his boldest ideas flips everything we've been taught. To create your ideal life, you don't need to act, you need to feel. He called it the art of doing nothing, and at its core lies a radical shift in how we understand creation. Doing nothing, in Neville's language, has nothing to do with laziness or passivity. It's about stepping away from the urge to force outcomes. He believed that once a desire is imagined clearly and emotionally, there's nothing left to chase. The work, he said, is complete the moment you assume the wish fulfilled. Action might follow, but it's no longer driven by desperation. It flows from alignment. This isn't about fantasy or wishful thinking. Imagination in Neville's world is divine. He taught that the imagination is God in action, the creative power behind everything we see. When you embody a state mentally and emotionally, reality adjusts itself accordingly. You aren't asking for what you want. You're claiming it as already yours. Think of someone who longs for financial abundance. Instead of stressing over strategy or worrying about bills, they enter the feeling of being secure, free, and supported. They imagine checking an account and seeing more than enough. They walk, speak, and rest as if the problem has already been solved. That inner conviction changes outer results. Whether it's love, health, success, or peace, the process is the same. The secret is non-resistance. By refusing to fight, you allow. When you no longer chase, you attract. Neville's genius wasn't in creating a new method. It was in reminding us that reality starts from the inside. You don't need to move the world. You only need to believe it already moved. To truly understand how doing nothing leads to creation, we need to look behind the curtain, to the invisible structure that makes reality possible. That structure is described in the 7 Hermetic Laws. These principles are not abstract theories or metaphysical guesses. They are timeless forces in motion, constantly shaping every thought, action, and outcome, whether we're aware of them or not. Neville Goddard urged us to live from the end, to assume, feel, and accept our desire as if it were already here. When you pair that with the Hermetic framework, something clicks. You start to realize that doing nothing isn't idleness. It's alignment, a conscious shift into a state that naturally reshapes your world. The Law of Mentalism. All is mind. Everything begins in consciousness. Your environment, relationships, opportunities, all of them originate from awareness. This is the foundation of Neville's teaching. He insisted that imagination is the creative force, not wishful thinking, but a mechanism through which reality is born. When you practice doing nothing, you're stepping into that mental creation space. Instead of reacting to the outer world, you consciously direct your inner reality. Thoughts aren't passive, they're formative. Whatever occupies your awareness becomes your experience. The law of correspondence, as above, so below, as within, so without. This principle reveals the connection between levels of reality, the unseen and the seen, the internal and the external. They mirror each other. Neville emphasized living from the desired state, not toward it. That's how this law plays out. You adjust the inner world and the outer world has no choice but to respond. There's no need to force or manipulate circumstances. They shift automatically as your inner pattern changes. That's the elegance of doing nothing. Your stillness on the outside hides a powerful reconfiguration on the inside. The law of vibration. Nothing rests, everything moves. Every thought, emotion, belief, and intention carries a specific frequency. Manifestation isn't about repeating affirmations or taking frantic action. It's about tuning your energy to the result you desire. When you imagine being wealthy, loved, or healthy and truly feel it, your frequency aligns with that reality. That's what Neville meant by feeling is the secret. The act of doing nothing is actually a fine-tuning of your inner state to match what you want to attract. no physical effort needed. The law of polarity. Everything has its opposite. This law explains that opposites are simply two extremes of the same thing. Joy and sorrow, abundance and lack, fear and confidence, all are part of a single continuum. Neville taught that you must choose your reality by assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled. You don't erase what you dislike, you shift to the other pole. Doing nothing isn't ignoring contrast, it's choosing a different end of the spectrum without wrestling with the unwanted side. It's conscious selection, not struggle. The law of rhythm. Everything flows in and out. Life moves in waves. Success, setbacks, clarity, confusion. This law reminds us that no state is permanent. Neville's approach honors this principle by asking us not to resist the natural flow. When you do nothing, you're not giving up. You're trusting timing. You're remaining stable within the ebb and flow, anchored in the feeling of your assumption. Instead of chasing results, you allow them to arrive at the perfect moment. This quiet trust is not weakness, it's mastery of rhythm. The law of cause and effect. Nothing happens by chance. Behind every outcome is a cause, and in this paradigm that cause is not action, but consciousness. Neville replaced cause and effect with assumption and reflection. You don't achieve your desire through force, but by embodying the state from which it naturally emerges. Doing nothing becomes a powerful kind of causality, a choice to generate inner belief rather than push for outer control. Once the inner cause is planted, the effect becomes inevitable. The law of gender. Creation requires both energies. This final principle speaks to balance. It has nothing to do with gender roles and everything to do with how creation works. The masculine represents conscious intent, the decision, the thought. The feminine represents receptivity, the feeling, the embodiment. Neville's technique involves both. You decide what you want, masculine, then live in the experience of already having it, feminine. Doing nothing is the feminine aspect in action, the part where you nurture the seed of belief until it blooms without digging it up to check if it's growing. When these laws come together through Neville's lens, a different kind of power emerges, one that doesn't depend on effort, competition, or stress, but on deliberate inner awareness. By choosing to do nothing in the physical sense, you're actually doing everything that matters in the unseen. You're stepping out of force and into flow, where results are drawn to you because your vibration, your thought, your state leaves no room for anything else. Understanding these principles is one thing. Living them. That's where transformation begins. You don't need rituals, complicated techniques, or endless repetition. What you do need is consistency, clarity, and a willingness to shift how you respond to life. The art of doing nothing isn't a passive philosophy. It's a disciplined decision to trust the unseen and stay loyal to the end result you've chosen within. Start here. Decide what you want, clearly, simply, and without conflict. Don't worry about how it will happen. Just identify the outcome that matters most to you right now. It might be a specific amount of money, a relationship, healing, or peace of mind. Once chosen, the key is to mentally enter the state where that desire is already fulfilled. Not someday, now. Next, engage your senses. Imagine what you would see, feel, hear, or do if your desire were already part of your life. Don't force visuals. Focus on feeling. If you can feel the relief, joy, or confidence of already having it, that's enough. This is your creative act, and once it's done, let it go. There's no need to repeat it unless doubt creeps in. Then gently return to the feeling, not with effort, but with certainty. Now comes the daily part. Hold the state. That doesn't mean obsess over your desire. It means walking through your day with the quiet inner knowing that it's done. If fear shows up, observe it. Then return to your assumption. If something contradicts what you've imagined, don't argue with it. Choose to respond as the version of you who already received the outcome. That's how you remain aligned with your desired reality. To support this process, create a simple routine. You can spend a few minutes each morning or night in stillness, revisiting your assumption. Journaling, visualization, or simply resting in the feeling of already done is enough. You might also limit exposure to content that pulls you into fear, scarcity, or doubt. This isn't about escape. It's about protecting the vibration you're choosing to live from. Finally, explore more. There are timeless books, recordings, and teachings from Neville, from Hermetic Wisdom, and from other spiritual guides that can reinforce your understanding. But remember, knowledge means nothing without embodiment. You don't need to do more. You need to be more of who you already are, the creative force behind your entire experience.